I want another lollipop.
Did you want one of these? There you go. A couple markers left. You have markers already. All right. Do you need another one of these for anybody?
Is that
The live stream.
Oh, it started? I'm sorry, I gave one.
I want another lollipop.
Is that what you're trying to voice?
Behind you guys.
No, I'll get one by me.
I think there's some like grown-ups that can fit in the corner.
There's somebody.
Do you see people there?
Yeah, there's girls.
I mean, I don't have to sit. That's okay.
No, it's fine.
They can clear a spot over there for me. I'll sit in the window.
Thanks everybody for your patience. We're a small store and we're so happy that we have a great crowd for Holly.
Thank you for having
This
me.
is wonderful. Kayla, would you mind turning the music off, please? Thank you. So thanks everybody. Welcome to the Next Chapter Books, and we are thrilled to be able to host Holly Nichols, who is an internet sensation that we all follow and we love following along. We are so lucky that she is a Quincy native, a graduate of North Quincy High, which we're very lucky to have had her here and to have her here in Quincy. We have 2 of her books available today. So her Modern Fashion Illustration coloring book and her Modern Fashion Illustration book are both available for purchase today, and she'll be signing them afterwards. But we just are so lucky. Holly graduated from North Quincy High, went on to Endicott College, and has been a fashion illustrator. And I mean, you all know. The reason you're here is because you all already know all about Holly. I feel like I don't need to tell you all about Holly. So she's worked for great companies like Saks and Disney and Barney's doing illustration. Some of my favorite videos, I was telling her earlier, some of her earlier ones, but one of the latest ones and I don't know if everybody's seen it, the one of her doing her grandmother's wedding dress. Who's seen that one? Absolutely, that's my favorite. I started crying. That one is awesome. I loved that. So she's like an unbelievable talent. We're so lucky that she's here. So thank you all, and join me in welcoming Holly.
Well, thank you all for coming, grown-ups and kids. I appreciate it. It looks like some of you have started coloring, but what we're going to do today is I'm going to kind of walk you through just my process. So feel free to follow along exactly. Go ahead, take your time, go at your own pace. But I'm just going to give you an exact demonstration of how I would sit down and color one of my pieces. And just as a note, when we were creating the coloring book, and if you can see me flipping through here, something that I wanted to do that I was happy my publishers embraced was when I was drawing these pages, I didn't want them to have that typical really thick outline that you see in coloring book pages. And the reason I wanted that was because I wanted it to look like exactly how I would take pencil to paper and then color it in, and then at the end what we'll do is use my outlining pens to outline it to make it look a bit more refined. So in that way it's customizable to a bunch of different skill levels. A new artist might take it and just start coloring, and that's perfect. Someone that has a bit more experience with fashion illustration might do my blending techniques and then the outlining at the end, so you can really make it your own. So feel free to explore it as you see fit. I see a lot of creativity happening down there already. I'm excited to see those. And with that said, we're going to start. So if you're following along from the coloring book, we have the page, it's towards the back. And as I was doing this, I realized we didn't have the pages numbered. But I like that because then you can rip it out and hang it up as artwork or frame it later. And the pages are all perforated, which I enjoy too. So it's towards the back. If you're flipping through, the butterfly dress is right after it. It's towards the back where you see the coloring references. And it's this girl with a gown, and we're gonna get started on it. So the first thing I do whenever I'm doing any of my work is I start with the skin tone. And if you have Copic markers, if you're familiar with the coloring system, I am gonna name the color. But whatever markers you're working with is perfectly fine to work with today. So I'm going to start with E00, which is a light beige color. And we're using the brush tip end. And the markers that you have today have brush tip ends on them, which is great. And that allows you to cover a little bit more surface area. So I like to start with the face. And I usually color right over her lips. And the reason is, so when we're putting on lipstick color, if we want that, it blends in a little bit better with her natural skin tone. And then we're going to keep on coloring in all of her skin. And one thing I'm going to do that you'll notice is we're getting to this arm part. And I'm going to color right over the fabric of the arm, and we'll get to that later, but a quick preview as to why is because we're going to color a sheer fabric. So I'm trying to look around seeing if anyone has anything sheer on. I don't see anything, but if you think about like a tutu, if you put a tutu over your arm, you're still going to see a little bit of your skin underneath. So we're going to create that skin tone right underneath. And we've gotten most of that done. And as I said, please feel free to go at your own pace. If I'm going too quick, don't panic. We have plenty of time to work on these, and you have time to take them home after. And we'll let that settle in. I like to kind of let it sit for 5 seconds because where this is a dry media, it's an alcohol-based marker, but it still takes a few seconds to settle into the paper. So I'm gonna let that happen while I look for my next color. And I'm going to use E11 for that. If you're following along at home, we have some people on a live stream on YouTube too. Yeah. So right underneath her chin, and really anywhere that you're going to find a shadow. So if you look at me, I'm not sure where the light's following on me, but I probably have a little bit of a shadow right underneath my chin. So I'm going to color in just a little bit of a shadow right underneath. This marker's actually dry, so I got to switch it out.
That is so impressive.
These took me 13 years to collect. Yeah, I've had them since college, but the good thing about these markers that I'm using and some similar ones, you can refill them. So when the ink runs out, you can just refill it.
What about the tip? Does it ever get frayed?
Mine, I haven't had that happen, but you can replace the tip as well.
Oh, good. Well, that's good.
All right, so we're gonna move on to the dress now, and this is where I'm gonna need your help. If we want a purple dress, say purple. If we want a pink dress, say pink. Let's do that again, ready? If we want a purple dress, say purple. Who votes purple? Thank you. And who votes pink? Pink. All right, I think we have an overwhelming response for the pink. So let's do pink. Pick any pink or any color you want. You don't have to do pink, but I'm going to use pink today. And if you're following along at home, I'm using RV02. And we're going to color the whole dress pink. And after that, we're going to kind of make it a little bit more detailed from there. But we're going to start with coloring the whole dress pink.
I have all these markers at my house.
You have them at your house? They're my favorite to work with.
And I also do have that kind of color.
The Copic? Oh, you're so lucky. These are awesome. I like to start from left to right because I'm right-handed and I don't like to get my hands messy, but start wherever you want on the paper. And a little trick for working with any type of markers is, if you can see here, I'm not picking up my hand a lot, so I'm keeping one steady movement, and that helps the colors blend. No matter what type of marker you're working with, that'll help keep everything nice and blended. So doing this rather than this is going to help keep that blend. So you go all the way down and then all the way up, and we'll do that until we finish this.
Excellent. Well, you don't need to make it easier. I think if you do it one at a time, look, everyone's doing it much slower. Next time, you don't rush.
Yeah, take your time. Go at your own pace.
Yeah, see, we can take our time to learn.
In real life, we'll kind of expedite it a bit today, but in real life when I'm drawing, these can take me anywhere from a half an hour to several hours, depending on the level of complexity. So when you see my videos online that are a minute long, that's usually about 4 hours of filming, and then I go home and I edit it, and that takes even longer. So they really get condensed into digestible, easy to watch clips. At least I hope.
Well, we certainly watched them.
Oh, thank you.
Over and over again.
All right, so we have our full dress colored in here. Perfect. So I have my pink dress colored in here. I'm going to take another color. So now I'm taking BV02 if you're following along with the Copic system or any similar markers. And it's like a light lavender purple. So we already used the light pink, and now we're going to move on to light lavender. And I'm going to work from the bottom up to create a ombre effect. So I'm going to do these quick little flicks. And this part doesn't have to be perfect. And I'm bringing some up a little bit higher and leaving some down lower. And then right here, I'll bring this one up a little bit higher. And then I'm going to go back to the pink.
Oh, I feel like Holly.
And blend those two together. Those blend really well.
They do.
That's great. That one looks like fire. I love it. So I'm going section by section here, and that's because when the marker settles into the, or before the marker settles into the paper, I want to have the opportunity to really blend that. So I'll keep going from below. And I think one thing that you might notice about what I'm doing here is I'm going outside of the lines. And I remember growing up being really afraid to draw outside of the lines in my coloring book pages, but when I do my work now, what I notice is that it actually makes it look a little bit better. It makes it look a little bit more organic and like it's flowing. So don't be afraid to go outside the lines when you draw, here or anywhere else. We're gonna blend that one, and we'll repeat this process through the whole bottom of the dress. Yeah, so take your time. We're gonna keep going through here. So purple, purple, purple. I'm bringing that color up a little bit higher on that black line and keeping it lower in the other spots. And then blend. And we're moving back to the purple, so you see me switching back and forth a lot. Purple here. And then we're bringing that purple up a little bit higher. And then blending. And you can do this with any color. So I know I'm saying pink and purple, but you could do blue and green, blue and green. You can do red and yellow. So whatever works for you. I see some amazing artwork happening already. This is awesome. That is so creative. Wow. And if you're following along with this, so if you have the template in front of you, the pieces to the side, so right here, these are going to be darker because they're in the back of her dress. So if you think of her standing on the floor, the parts that are in the back are a little bit darker because they're hiding in the shadows a little bit more. So I'm going to feature more purple back here. This whole section will be purple. On both sides. All All right, and the last thing I'm gonna do before we move on to the next part is take that purple color I was using and drag it across the whole bottom. I'm going a little bit outside the lines just to smooth it out. And we could leave it like that, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take another contrasting color. So contrast means you're adding a darker value to something that's light, and light can be a contrast to dark, so making it really confusing for you guys. But basically we're going to add a darker color. So we're going to add a darker purple to that purple that we already put down. If you're following along at home, I have BV02, and I'm going to go and switch to BV13. Hydrangea blue, and we're going to still stick with the brush tip side of that marker. And I'm not going to do this everywhere. I'm just going to do this where you see the fabric folding. So where you see these black lines coming down, I'm going to add a little bit of that dark purple to the creases. Can you guys see my picture okay up there? Awesome. I'm really going to feature that darker color in that back section there. And adding this darker value is just going to help your artwork pop off the page a little bit more. Perfect. And we're going to cap it. All right, so we're done with our purple. But what I'm going to have you do, if you're following along with me, is take that pink that we used and we're going to dab. This is my favorite part. So we're going to use the breast tip. And we're going to start at her waistline right here. So right about here. We're going to do a trickle down. So we're going to do a lot up here. And then as we get closer to the purple, we're going to trail it off. So let's take that marker, use the brush tip. You don't want to do it too hard, but just enough. So medium pressure. And you're just going to start dotting. So dot, dot, dot. So mostly at the top. And then we'll bring a little bit down here. So it's almost like they're falling stars, but they're going to be sparkles. And the crazy thing about these markers that I'm using, Sarah just asked me, does that ever mess up your marker? And it's really incredible. I don't know if you can see this, but it did nothing to the tip. They're really durable. I've had these markers I got them when I was a freshman in college, and that was a long time ago. So I've had them for probably 15 plus years, and you can just keep replacing different parts of the marker to reuse them, which is great. And I'm going to bring that sparkle up here as well. And we're going to return back to the sparkles, but while we have this color, so any pink or purple you want to use, now is when we're going to draw right over her arm. So see where we already colored in her skin tone here? We're going to draw right over that to create that sheer effect. So by coloring over her skin tone, that shows that the fabric she's wearing on her arms is a sheer fabric. And if you want to, you can add a little bit of sparkle to her arms as well. And something that I also like to do, I kind of already did it with that one dot there. I like to go outside of the dress with a few of those dots to make it look like it's really shining. If you saw last weekend, I drew the Cinderella dress from the 2015 movie, and to make it, that was a really hard fabric to render because it was very luminous, but I wanted to make it look like it was shining a bit. So I went outside the lines with these little dots right here. And you can even do little stars. So to make the star, I do a line down, a line across, and then one tiny line through it. And we'll finish with that pink. Take your time there. So this is where I like to pause and just take a look at your drawing. So if you want to, you can put your marker down and look at your drawing and you can go, what does this need right now? So that's what I'm going to do for my own drawing. So I'm going to look at it, and I think mine needs a little bit more contrast at her waistline right here. So I'm going to go back to my purple marker. How you doing? It looks so good. Oh, you did the dots. I'm going back to my purple marker, and from here up, so not the skirt part, but from here up, I'm going to do teeny tiny dots right at her waistline. And then before it fully sets in, I'm going to take a light purple marker and just pull that up. So it looks like it's falling. And maybe we'll bring a little bit of that down here. How are we doing? Are we feeling good about our dress? Oh, I love that purple. That's so pretty. Okay. Now we can move on to hair. So I'm going to do a hair color that looks like mine, but when you're drawing, you can do any hair color you want. And even, you can even add some curls to this if you want to make it look curlier.
Two different colors.
Two different, what colors should I do?
Maybe you should add a mix of like brown and red. That would look kind of
Ooh, I like that. Okay. So we're going to do a brown and like auburny red hair color. And I think maybe we'll have a little bit of the red framing her face. So like this area, and then the rest will be kind of brown. I like that suggestion. Thank you so much. So this is actually a good opportunity to teach you how I draw red hair, because it's not what you expect. So when you're looking to draw a certain color, especially with these markers or any markers you have at home, you hear red and you might go, oh, red, we need a red marker. So I'm showing the live stream. This is a red marker. This is RV29, a very bright, bright red. But something that an art teacher told me when I was little was draw what you see, not what you know. So if I were to draw an apple, same thing with drawing red hair, I might go, oh, I need a red marker. But if you look at that apple, the red might be more of an earth tone than it is red. So I'm going to go to my earth tones, which if you're using the Copic system, start with an E. And I'm going to use Copic color E19. It's called Redwood. So this is what that looks like. So it's more of a brown. And of course, depends on the shade of red that you're drawing. But this is the one that I think will blend best with the brown that you suggested. And we're going to start right at the root of her hair. And bring it down. So that front part of her hair is going to be that beautiful red color. And this is the part where you might want to be holding your marker more vertically, so that means up. So straight up like this, because that lets you get in the tiny, tiny spots to color. So if you want to color a large base of your drawing, you hold it to the side, kind of like when you're shading with a pencil. And if you want to draw details, you hold it straight up. So I'm going to use the top of my brush pen to do that. All right, so we've got that red in. And now I'm going to switch over to my brown. So if you're following along with Copic, it's E47. This is the one I use a lot to color my own hair color. So E47. And we're going to put it right next to the red that we did. And just like we did with the dress, we're going to blend those two together. And we'll do the same thing to the other side. So going from the root down. Perfect. Hey guys. Awesome. And then something that I like to do to hair too. I'm not wearing my hair down, so it's hard to see. Mom, can I use you as my model?
Oh.
So this is my mom.
Hi, Mom.
And you'll see the closest her hair is to her neck, it tends to get darker. And that's a pretty good rule of thumb for any hair color. So underneath here is always a little bit darker the closer you get to your neck. So I'm gonna, thank you, Mom. So I'm gonna go back and use that same brown. And closest to her neck, we're gonna add a shadow. And we've got our hair done. So this is a good place to stop for starters, but if you wanted to take it a little bit further, this is what I would do. And give me the thumbs up whenever you need me to wrap this up.
Yeah,
But,
no, there's a lot of people out back who also, I
Awesome.
think, would love an opportunity to move, to kind of swap with
Yeah.
people who've already
Okay.
been here.
Yeah.
So whenever you're ready, that's fine. We can, there's
Thumbs
so
up,
many
Holly.
people who want to come up and watch the process. So maybe you can do a little bit more of it
Yeah.
after. So we
Yeah,
can
definitely.
swap-
We have a lot
swap
more to
crowd.
cover.
Yeah, so, yeah, whenever you're ready, whenever you're done with this one, then we can do round two.
Awesome. Should I continue?
Yeah, I think, yeah, if anybody is that picture done, or you?
We have a lot more that we
you're gonna
can
work
do.
on?
Yeah.
Okay, keep
Mhm.
going, keep
Awesome.
going. I just wanted some of the little people to be able to come up and see what you were doing.
Perfect. So if you want to leave your drawing here, it's perfect just like that is, like it is right here. But we can take it a little bit further. So if you want to go a little bit further, we're going to take a darker brown and really add some contrast. Right around her neck and then also at the root of her hair. So the root of your hair is right here, right at the top of your head. And we're going to add that right here. Awesome. So I think I'm pretty much done with her hair. And I'm going to return to the thing I was talking about when we started about how you can leave your drawing just like this without any outlines. But when I was designing the book, I wanted it to be flexible so a new artist could leave it like that. Or for a more advanced artist, you can take some outlining pens and start to really make this come to life a little bit more. So that's what I'm going to demonstrate quickly now. I have in front of me a jelly roll pen. So if you grew up in the time that I did, we had these all the time and they were awesome. And I still have one. So this is a jelly roll pen in white. And I'm just going to dab it at the bottom to add some sparkles. So a little white pencil. Actually, if you have a white pencil at home, this would do the similar effect. So this is just adding some sparkle and shine. And I'll do some sparkles by doing that star shape that we did earlier. They look like little glimmers. So that's one way to take it further. The other thing we can do is start to outline it. So in front of me, I have a little collection of, these are called Copic multi-liners. But what I'm going to also use is just a black colored pencil. So this is something you could have at home if you have it, or use at home if you have it. This is just a black colored pencil. And on the left side up here, I'm going to take it and just create some line dimension here. So this is just adding a little bit of line weight to that edge. So see how just doing that, it makes it pop out a little bit more? Even if you wanted to do it just on one side, that'd be perfectly enough. A little rule of thumb I use for myself is if I did a dark line on the left side, I'm not going to do a really dark line on the right side, just a teeny tiny bit. So a little bit less on the right side and keep that heavy line weight on the left. So this technique that I'm using is just changing up the line weights a little bit.
Here, buddy.
Same thing on the bottom. I'm gonna go across the bottom and do a dark line there. And a little bit of a dark line there, but leave it alone right here. And then same thing, I'll do a dark line here. And a dark line here. And a dark line there. And we'll bring some through the top a little bit. And across here. And we'll even do a little bit on her hair. And this is where I'm going to color way outside the lines. So if you can see me taking that line way outside of the lines that we already colored, even what's in the coloring book. And that makes it look like her hair's really moving around. Does anyone notice something that I forgot to draw so far? She's just eyes. Yeah, I didn't give her eyes. So we're gonna return to the eyes. I'll do a light green. So if you're following the Copic system at home, this is YG63. And these are gonna be so teeny. So on this page, if you can see next to my hand, look how small her eye is next to my hand. This is where we have to put our like really concentrating hat on and use the tip of the marker to just do 2 little dots. And someone said lips, and yes, I forgot to do the lips too. So we're gonna do some lipstick or lip color, and I'll do like a blush, so something very natural. This is R21. Pink, yes, very pink. And just like the eyes, it's gonna be 2 tiny dots. So 2 dots on the top, and then 1 big dot on the bottom. And that is her face. We could keep going from here. So some other suggestions that we could do are, let's see, we could even put some darker color here, darker color here. We can bring these lines up. I really wanted you to have the opportunity when I made this book to make it your own. So this book works really well in with the first book that we had that came out called Modern Fashion Illustration, which teaches you like the ins and outs of how I do this step by step. And then this is a kind of like a good middle ground. So you can take the concepts that you used in my first book, Modern Fashion Illustration, and apply all the techniques here. Or this is good for just turning your brain off at the end of the day, no matter what your age is, and just coloring. And that's what I like to do with it. So here we have a pretty much finished drawing. Some things that I like to add that I don't have today are, I like to add a lot of glitter. So you see me do those glitter drops sometimes if you follow along my videos. I like to add rhinestones. I like to get creative with things I add. So this is pretty much a good place to stop today. The last thing that we all have to do is take any color marker or pen that you have and sign your name. So anytime you're working on a piece of work, you should be proud of it and you need to let people know who did it. So we're gonna sign it. So I'm gonna sign mine at the bottom right corner.
Holly, what do you use for the adhesive for the glitter drop?
The adhesive, it's I forget the brand, but it's literally called rhinestone glue. It comes in a brown bottle. I'll have to look it up.
Like dropping on, you're not like, it's not like a spray or anything.
No, it's not a spray. I use a spray adhesive after to seal it so they don't come off. But it's just an easy glue. And whenever I do the glitter drops, people are always going, oh my gosh, your phone's gonna get ruined. But I take a piece of glass that you would put like in a frame. So I put a sheet of glass over the top of it. And this is actually the camera mount that I use to film. And I just drop the glitter from the top. So it goes on the frame. And then I funnel it back into the glitter container so we're not wasting anything. Yeah, so that's just a little in and out. Yeah, so that is our drawing today. Can you guys hold up your drawings so I can see them? Oh my gosh, oh, I love that one. Wow. Look at the Pokemon dress, that is so cool. Wow. This looks, oh, I love the purple one. Wow.
So nice.
I love it.
Yes.
With the fishbone. I love that. The fishbone. That one looks great. Wow. Oh, the blue one? I love them all. Awesome. I love that. That looks so good. Excellent. Chloe, that looks awesome. All right, guys. So I'm going to stick around. If anyone has questions, I'm happy to answer them. Okay, perfect. Awesome. Do you want me to take questions or?
Questions?
Awesome.
Great. And we'll get a picture of
Perfect.
you maybe with everybody behind you.
Yeah.
And
Awesome.
then you can do
Yeah,
book signing.
I think we're gonna do that after that. That's okay. No. Thanks for turning into the live stream. I appreciate it. I'm gonna end it.